No more holes. No more holes. No more holes in my Jeep. In the Jeep. Wow. I just sat down for a minute and I guess I dozed off, and I seem to be having this recurring nightmare about having to drill more holes in my brand new Jeep tub. Man, it's messing with me. And unfortunately, it's true. That's what we got to do today. We got to go out there and drill another hole in our Jeep tub. So, I don't know, I guess we'll just go, let's go do it, huh? All right, well, I got a helpful comment from somebody on the last video when I was talking about, going through the firewall here, and that person, I forget who it was, it said, why don't you go in where the steering column comes through? You've already got a hole there. You maybe just have to cut a slot there to get your cables through, which is obviously a good idea because that's a big hole. But I thought to myself when I read that, I was like, well, I think I tried going that direction and it wasn't going to work for some reason. So I decided to come out here and have another look at that. So let's have a gander here. The difficult cable is this one right here. So this goes to our distributor and it's kind of short. And our distributor cable is, if our distributor winds up turned facing the back, then it'll get us a little bit more room. But basically that one goes in there. And then this one is coming around to the back of the throttle body here for the idle air control. So that really has always been kind of my shortest, most difficult one to place. This one's going to be easy because it goes to this main harness right here. That's all the injectors. So there's plenty of room for that. I do have my, over here on the other side, I've got my oxygen sensor from the header collector down there coming up here, and I lost that wire. I think it's this one right here. Goes to that. Got plenty of room. And these other two that are going way over here are like the pump and the fuel pump and something else, but there are tons of wire there. So now if we look at our firewall, there's a hole that's kind of ready to be knocked out right there. What I had done is I'd shoved everything through the fuse hole just to see where I was cabling wise. But if I pull this out, oh, of course it's got how did that wire go through that hole there? If I was trying to put that through that hole, it'd never go. But anyway, I think with a little doing, I could probably get this through that hole and just knock that out. Now let's go have a look on the inside and see where that's going to wind us up. So I'm going to push this back through here for a second. Just give us an idea where we're going to come out. So hang on, we got to go take a trip here. Okay, well, if we come in here now, it's right about here where that hole is. I might have to cut the thing out, but I think it would be, well clear of our clutch pedal, because we're going to be back here against firewall. In fact, hold on one second. I'm going to grab that module. And that would wind us up with our module. Could go like somewhere right up here or whatever. I'm still not perfect because I don't want to be too low, or I am worried that my foot might be hitting it when I put the clutch in. But I guess if I came down as low as I could, and I came over as far as I could, assuming that round hole is somewhere up in here, I'm going to go around the other side and measure it, and I'll mark it out where I think it is. That'll give me a better idea of kind of where that's going to be placed. So I'll do that and I'll come back and show you what we wind up with here. All right, well, I'm not sure how well the camera is really going to pick this up because there's a lot of glare there, but you can kind of see, there you can see my marks that I put on the firewall, roughly where that round hole would come through. You can see if you look close, there's some spot welds around it where they spot welded it to the thing. So obviously something was intended to go through there. But if I come through there and I go offset from it a bit. That might be a decent spot for that thing right there. Now the only other thing that's coming in right here is the parking brake. Good Lord, am I gonna have to hook the park brake up before I figure it out? I have the park brake bracket in here. I think I'll grab that real quick because I'm pretty sure that's what's going through these two holes here. And then our park brake cable comes up through the bottom of the tub right there. So before I commit to this, I'll grab that and see how big that bracket and so forth is. So a little more studying, but hang on, I'll do that. All right, well, I think I've come to the conclusion that behind the clutch pedal is not the spot for this thing. And I'll tell you why. It's not that I'm afraid of necessarily kicking the control box with my foot. It's the cable bundle. You know, that thing's big and it's all wound up tight there and it's very stiff, and I would only be coming through the hole just an inch or two above where the cable goes. But if I show you this thing here, you know, I realistically, in order to make this work good and get these on the inside, I got to have a foot of run space here before I get to the easy to bend start stuff down here. So I'm back to putting a piece of steel here and seeing about kind of fabbing something up to go right there and give myself a little shelf. And again, where I would place this is right there, kind of where neither of those vents are going to be directed right at it. And I think that might be okay. Now let me just tell you why I got it right now. I'm coming through that power steering or the steering column hole. I don't want to cut that out, and I'll tell you why I don't want to, because that's double steel there. That's one of those places on the backside where they doubled up the steel. And this is as well. This is not actually cut out on this side. I think something went through there at some point or other in the original tub or whatever. But, you know, that's also 2 layers of steel there. So this whole area, you know, kind of has all the weight of your torque of your steering wheel and your clutch pedal and your brake pedal and all that kind of playing against the back of it. And I suspect that there's a very good reason that Jeep put 2 layers of steel there. It's for strength. And this is the hole I'm thinking of going through right here. That's just 1 layer, and I'm going to come over here, do my second hole. I'm not concerned about opening up a little bit bigger hole right there, in that I'm going to, you know, introduce a bunch of weakness to the tub up in the front there where I'm pushing with pedals and stuff. So I don't know, I think I'm back to my original plan. Bring it through right there and fab me up something down here. So I think first thing before I drill the hole, because once I drill I'm committed, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't maybe knock together a little pattern for this thing out of, you know, just some cardboard or something. See what I would be putting there and see how that's going to work and see if that makes sense. So I'm going to do a little fab work, and I'll show you what we come up with when I get to the end of it. Okay, there's my little box fabbed up here. I'll set you down for a second, and let's set our module on there. So this would probably go about here, okay? And then I'm going to be bringing the cable down out of the up top here. So it's gonna go about like that. All right, well, here we have it. My little shelf is gonna go right about there. And I've got a couple of holes drilled in here for the bolts through our control module so I can bolt it in. Now, I'm just gonna, for now, I'm gonna put a little silicone on either side of this thing and just kind of, in essence, glue it to the tub with some silicone. That way, if this all goes sideways and I change my mind, I can take it out of there. But that's ready to go. And you know, it was pretty simple, basically kind of just a little piece of that 6-inch wide metal from Home Depot, and then I just cut some sides and kind of put them on a bit of an angle to match the slope here. I just cut it out with some cardboard and kind of fit it in there. So it's ready to go. Not going to place it just yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover up the tranny hole, cover up the engine side, and start my drill in there. Okay, success. It was a little savage, and took an assortment of tools. What I basically did is I took my hole enlarging drill bit here, and I started into that speedometer cable hole, and I just kept working my way in further and further until this basically would pass all the way through that hole. That winds you up with pretty close to 1 1/4 inch hole. And what I figured I needed to have a little room to push that connector straight through, that biggest one of the batch, was 1.5 inches tall, 2 1/4, or sorry, 1.25 inches tall, I think, and 2 1/4 wide. So this got me about 1.25 inch hole. So then I went over the appropriate distance, drilled me a little pilot hole, ran this through that hole, rounded it out. I then had my 2 holes next to each other. I just took a straight edge, drew a line from the largest part of the holes across, took the cutoff wheel and the Dremel and cut that little chunk out. There we go, bing bang, I got my custom hole there. My connectors have all fit right through it now, as you can see. And next step is, being clever like I am, I'm going to take a little bit of that black silicone I bought a while back, and I'm going to kind of just put a little bit on the sides of this thing, kind of glue it down to the tub for now. That way, if I do change my mind or it needs to move around or whatever, it won't be like bolted to the tub. No more holes. And then I'll let that set up for a while, and then I can, kind of start to really get it placed. But that's where that control unit's going to go. There's the holes for the two 5/16 bolts through there. It will sit right here. The connector will be on this end, and then potentially that module, that relay and the fuse will be here with it, but we'll see about those. Those could easily go right up on the firewall. Then I've now got that 1¼ by 2¼ hole through the firewall. But here's what I have that I think is going to work out pretty good. The piece that I bought that was kind of the sealing gasket thing for around the heater core inlet and outlet tubes was really thick when I got that. And I looked at that and I was like, that's way too thick. My heater core is going to be way far away from the firewall. I didn't want it that far away. So before I even had a use for it, I took and shaved about a ½ inch of that thing off, and I still have that chunk of that rubber thing. And so what I think I can do is I can take the edge of that, cut me a little slice in there so that it will go in and be a new grommet. I cut a little slot in the top to put my cables through, and that will be my custom grommet to fit my custom hole. And there you go. It's almost like I had a plan when I did that. So anyway, I'm going to put a little silicone in there, let it dry for a while, and leave this here for now. And next time you see me, pretty sure I'm going to have that control module kind of bolted to that shelf, and that shelf kind of, like I said, glued in place. And then I'll be up there to make sure that I have plenty of room to get to my distributor connector, and everything else will fit into place from there. I'll make sure I can get to my O2 sensor for the exhaust and all that, but off we go. There we go. The hole through the firewall is complete. So thanks for watching this time around, and come back next time. We'll have this thing one step closer to being all ready to start assembling up for real and tying down some of these cables and having them where they're going to live.